and go live now. So again, hello, Facebook family. We are here with Hot Topic Tuesday. This is a presentation, Empower Your Kids, Learning Drug Refusal Skills. So we are going to go ahead and start our conversation. So we could go ahead and take the slides down now. Oh, actually, we're going to start with a poll question. I'm sorry, I forgot. So here are our poll questions. And Tiffany, I am not able to see them. So if you could go ahead and read them, that would be very helpful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Everyone, thank you for joining in. We have our first poll question. It's how familiar are you with refusal skills? There are no wrong answers with these poll questions. So feel free to answer honestly. Unfamiliar, somewhat familiar, familiar, or you're very familiar. We're approaching 30 seconds and I'll give it about 5 more seconds. Okay, and I'll share back the results. Tracy, do you get it? Are you able to see the results?
I am not able to see the results.
I could see.
Okay.
Can you see the results?
Yes,
I can see the results.
Okay.
70%.
Yeah. Mari, may I pass it over to you to share the results for poll question 1?
Sure. The first one is how familiar are you with the refusal skills? The first one is unfamiliar. That gives us 20%. And the other one is somewhat familiar is 70%. And familiar is 10%. Very familiar is 0. Choice 5 is 0. Thank you for your honesty. Great responses.
And there's a second poll question and we'll launch it within a second. All right. Second poll question, again, no right or wrong answer. Peer pressure can be negative or positive. All right, approaching 25 seconds and I'll wait for 5 more seconds.
Yeah, that's true. Negative, positive.
Okay. Wow, awesome.
So are the results
Mari, may you share the results?
Oh, yes. Peer pressure can be negative or positive. 89% said agree. 11% said disagree. Great responses too.
All right, everyone, thanks for participating in that poll question.
Thank you so much. So that just gives us a sense of who we have in the audience and what you know right now. And hopefully at the end of this, you'll learn a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our conversation now. The first thing with the start, Mari, with the start of the new school year and many kids returning to campus after like a year and a half of being at home, stuck at home with remote learning, they might be faced with a lot of challenges and experiencing mixed feelings like excitement and maybe even anxiety. One such challenge that they might be feeling is peer pressure. So can you speak more to that, of things that you might see or parents may see in their kids?
Thank you. That's actually a great question. And yes, I think we need to take into consideration that children or adolescents are during this time. We're not just talking about the pandemic, we're talking about many different things as they come back to school. So we got to keep in mind that they're very impressionable. You know, they see somebody, they want that, you know, and so during this time, and they are going through so many changes, and we need to consider that as educators, and also as parents, right? So they start to develop their personalities. Also, they start to select their hobbies, what they like. And one thing to really keep in mind is that they're very curious. You might disagree or you might agree with me, but they're very curious. And this time too, teenagers are very sensitive, to peer pressure. They want to feel like they have a sense of belonging. They want to be accepted by their peers. And this is the area where we got to kind of like put our antennas out and says like, could this be the time that they can very easily feed into peer pressure and put themselves, their health, and their safety at risk just to be part of the cool group? Okay, so the reason that we're having this presentation also is so that as educators and parents, we can actually educate our kids and to differentiate between the peer pressures. We just talked, we kind of like put on the poll, positive peer pressure and negative peer pressure, and we need to equip our kids and tell them the difference, Tracy. Like, what is an internal pressure? What is an external pressure? And we don't have to go into like big old words or anything like that. So an internal pressure, basically, when you're talking to your child or a student, we got to let them know, hey, did you know that there's internal pressures? These are things that nobody else is telling you, but yourself is telling yourself. Like, for instance, I see Stacy over there wearing some really cool tennis shoes, and I'm over here looking at my tennis shoes and not knocking Target, but I'm looking at my tennis shoes and they're from Target. And then I'm looking at Tracy's like, man, Tracy's not going to be able to hang out with me. She's not going to like me because I'm wearing this, Target shoes. That's inducing pressure. That's myself telling myself that I'm not going to be able to be friends with Tracy because of my shoes. Okay, so we got to make sure that we're educating our kids on the difference. Then the external pressures, those are the ones that actually they can get pressure by music, movies that they watch. They can actually from family members and from peers, from their peers their age. Okay, so let's keep in mind that when we're going to talk to our children or students about pressures, that we actually let them know about what is negative peer pressure look like, what does it sound like, because again, they're being exposed to so many things right now as they return to school that we want to make sure that they're equipped with the right tools so that they can actually resist those peer pressures. So for instance, if a kid is telling you, well, mom, I don't even know what peer pressure is, you can just tell them in simple words, it's something that someone is going to ask you to do and it's going to make you feel uncomfortable and it's not the best interest to you. They don't consider something that they're not considering that you're going to get in trouble. Keep it very simple and be honest with them too. Parents and educators, we need to kind of like let them know that when they resist being peer pressured by their peers, that is not easy to just say no. Okay, so the other one is, as educators, we want to make sure that we're teaching our children, that when they hear manipulation or harassment, those are big old words. They might not even know what that means, Tracy. So we got to make sure that we define them, but in a few words. Okay, so for instance, they can also be participating in peer pressuring somebody else. So they got to be mindful too that what they're doing is not also being that person that is bullying somebody else. So for instance, manipulation, what is that? So just tell them it's something that someone is going to do, like somewhat dishonest, indirect, dishonest ways of influencing somebody else. And you can pick something else on stating what is manipulation, and then it's going to come out as making threats. And you're going to tell the student as to what does making threats mean? Well, when you're actually saying, I'm going to beat you up, Tracy, if you don't do what I say, that's actually a way of making threats. The other one will be blackmailing someone. They might not even know what blackmailing is. Okay, so we got to make sure that we tell them, well, this is something that they know about you, Tracy, and that is embarrassing to you, or it's very private information about yourself and you don't want nobody else to know, but you trusted them with that information. Now they're blackmailing you that if you don't smoke some marijuana with me, Tracy, I'm going to tell your business out there. That will be another way of blackmailing. Okay. So teasing, Tracy, this is very popular. And sometimes I hear students or even clients, and even, members of our family, sometimes they tease each other, and these words can come out as in a very mean way. Again, we can go back to the whole shoes, and they can say, oh, wow, those shoes are ugly, and you don't even know what the person went through to go buy those shoes. And you might not even think that ugly is it's a bad way of expressing yourself, but you don't know what individuals are going through, especially how many have actually experienced so many changes as we went through this pandemic. Okay, so harassment, in other words, you can just tell the kids or the students, is like when someone is annoying you, you keep on teasing you or telling you like, Tracy, let's go smoke some weed. Come on, Tracy, let's go smoke some weed. That would be like constantly on you. So that will be another way that is negative peer pressure. And of course, hardly, I'm not going to say never, it's rarely, Tracy, when people are actually talking about positive peer pressure. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. So positive peer pressure, we also want to educate our kids to know the difference. There's peers that they have, that they're same age or someone that they look up to that can model being honest. That would be like if someone is actually looking at someone that is modeling being honest, or someone, let's say, that is encouraging somebody else to, instead of let's go smoke some weed or ditch class, hey, let's go play some basketball. That would be encouraging something else more healthier to do. So that's positive peer pressure on doing something that is more healthier, and this, in a way, instead of like antagonizing them to go do something that makes them feel uncomfortable, this positive peer pressure can help them actually feel like there's a sense of belonging with that group, that they don't have to feel that pressure. So we want to make sure that we are educating our kids to know the difference. Okay, so I know that sometimes it's difficult because we assume that our kids actually know the difference. And I don't know, Tracy, is there anything else that you want me to add to that?
Yeah, I was wondering, the thing that comes to mind is, how do we, as educators and as parents of these kids, how do we encourage them to stand up for themselves and to navigate that pressure, especially the negative peer pressure, getting kind of caught up in that, and being pressured to do things that they're not comfortable with, but they want to, like you said, fit in. They want to be the cool kid. How do we, encourage them to stand up? What can we do?
And Tracy, this is something that comes up in many other presentations that I've conducted, establishing open communication. And I think as parents and educators, we got to ground ourselves first before we start to engage and ask questions, First thing, because sometimes, especially if there are children, we don't prepare ourselves that they might say, yeah, mom, I'm smoking marijuana. So in a way, grounding ourselves is a way of starting, so we got to be mindful. Like, I got to make sure that I'm grounded by, let's say I'm calm, I got to make sure that I'm actually picking the right time, because it's disrespectful when you're going to have a conversation with someone and all of a sudden your phone rings, and then somebody's hungry, you got to go and attend to that. And these topics, when it comes down to drugs, sex, any types of peer pressures that a child is experiencing, they're serious conversations. And in a way, we got to make sure that we're giving them eye contact, that we're actually attending to them, that we remember we're there in the moment when we're talking to them, and not necessarily like I'm already thinking what I'm going to say. No, that's not being on the moment. is basically pay attention to what they're saying too, because this is going to help you to ask the right questions. So in a way, when you ground yourself, you're like calm, and if they tell you something that you were not ready to listen, be honest too. Give a voice to your feelings, because we're modeling our children what we want them to mimic from us. If I'm too upset, make sure that you're actually communicating that, you know what, I'm too upset right now. I need to go take some time, to recover, right? So we got to be mindful of that. So in a way, once we establish ourselves that we're going to set time and we're going to be having this discussion, hey, Tracy, you want, like, let's role play, for instance, Tracy, you're my child, and I'm going to, I found some, let's say some paraphernalia in your backpack. And I'm going to go and say, hey, Tracy, Tracy, you and I, we need to have a conversation. We're going to, especially if they're doing their homework, in an hour. That's being mindful. That's giving them time, and also you time to kind of like put things aside. And this is going to be the time to talk about those serious conversations. So remember, we got to be calm. What does it mean to ask the right questions? Asking the right questions means that you're not going to ask when, where, how, what. Do not ask why, Tracy, did you put that marijuana in your backpack? The response will be, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure that we are asking open-ended questions so that conversation keeps on, it keeps on. And be mindful of also your facial expressions, your body language, because sometimes that speaks louder than words. And your kids will actually, or as an educator, students will be able to pick up on those cues too. Just like you want to pick up on those cues, they're picking up on the cues too. And that will stop the conversation, if especially you're going, oh my God, just as you doing that when they're sharing something, it's like it can turn off the conversation, and that's at the end of the conversation. So we want to also ask our kids so that we know what is it that they like, right? So, and parents, if you're taking the stand as a parent, and if your child does say, I smoked marijuana one time, a good question to ask, what was it about marijuana that you liked? Or what was it that on that day that happened that you tried it out? So that will continue with the conversation. You're also assessing for how much do they know about marijuana?
Right.
How much is it that they're actually, what is the language that they're using too? And that's going to help you to prepare so that when you are actually going to do the intervention, not just talking, remember, this is about your child, not about you. Okay, so we want to, hear the story. What do they have to say? And we want to encourage being honest, and we also want to make sure that we're setting boundaries too. Let's make sure that when we're having that conversation, that they know that we're not approving of smoking marijuana. We love our child, but we don't approve of that behavior. And also, we want to keep on encouraging them, because the more that they trust us, the likelihood of them participating in high-risk behaviors is going to decrease. The more you're having these conversations with them and practicing the tools that we're going to talk later on, it helps them to, when they are finding themselves in that difficult situation, it's going to help them. It's going to come natural, basically, because they've been practicing with you. So in a way, it's we want to keep on motivating our kids to practice. Okay, and you are actually the most influential person that can help your child do that. So is there another question?
Yeah, so I had a question in terms of like you were bringing up refusal skills. Is there a way to kind of tell them about refusal skills? Should you, role play with them? How should you bring it up? How can you bring it up with your child? Those skills are so important.
Yes, and we also remember it's all about, why is it that my mom was talking to me about refusal skills? I don't even know what refusal skills are, so we got to make sure that we're using words that they can understand, so Refusal skills, we're going to let them know, there's just another way of saying no, to risky behaviors. We want to make sure, what are risky behaviors? Well, like when somebody offers you marijuana or alcohol, when somebody actually is, let's ditch class or commit, when let's steal something. So we want to make sure that we're actually educating them first on what are refusal skills and why is it that we want them to practice them? Why is it? So we want to make sure that actually let them know this is what's going to help you. Tracy, let's say Tracy's my daughter, right? This was going to help you when you're feeling that pressure, it's going to actually help you to feel self-respect, that you're important too, that you don't have to fit into what somebody else wants you to do when you're already feeling uncomfortable. So in a way, you're teaching them that there's benefits to it, right? And two, you can actually let them know too that is going to keep them safe. I think healthy, sometimes they don't understand the concept of healthy. It's more like safe, or negative consequences. And we want to make sure that actually we review the list. And I believe there's, Tiffany, is there like a list that we have right now?
Yes, absolutely. This is a great follow-up or transition to effective refusal skills. Here you are.
Thank you. So
So-
we're going, yeah, go ahead, Mari.
So effective refusal skills, and again, this is not the only tools that you can utilize as an educator or as a parent. Okay. So, and you don't have to go, I have to go say no first. We're going to go over each one and provide you with an example. And this is something that maybe you even used already, or maybe when you were growing up, you maybe said the same thing. There's no right or wrong, keep on adding to it. Okay. So it's basically, it doesn't have to stay as is. Okay. And I would say on this part too, that think of it as a combo. I know it's Hot Topic Tuesday, it's not Taco Tuesday, but sometimes it's like use a combo with them. And at the beginning we want to make sure that they're actually understand each one. Okay, so that at least they understanding it. Okay, so let's say no is probably one of the most common refusal skills that people can use, but it's not always that simple. Why? Because remember, adolescents, they want to have a sense of belonging, and saying no to them might be very hard, especially when they're feeling like, man, if I say no, I'm going to be the only one that stands out over here. Remember the internal pressure that they put themselves. Nobody else might be telling them anything, but they're telling themselves that. So here it is. Make sure that you are role playing with them how to be assertive. They need to make sure that no is no. Not like, no, that doesn't sound assertive. Anybody can convince somebody to go smoke some marijuana. Okay, so let's say a strong tone of voice, no. And you want to practice with them too, okay? And they might start giggling, don't get mad, it's perfectly okay. So I would say if somebody's offering them marijuana or alcohol, I can use an example, it's like, no, Tracy, and I'll use Tracy again on this, okay? Tracy, I really want to be your friend, but if you don't respect me of what I want to do, I would say, I don't want to do drugs, and I don't understand why is it that you want me to do drugs. I mean, that's kind of like more of a teenage conversation. Maybe someone that is younger that says, no, no thanks, I don't do drugs. Keep it simple, and add more to it. Okay, so saying no again might be something that it's so easy, but it might not sound, especially when they're feeling stressed and tension. I would say use your sense of humor, so here is where it's okay to laugh, it's okay to throw a joke out there, so I know being sarcastic sometimes not everybody appreciates, but I think it's when the person starts feeling uncomfortable already, they can says, you know what? Oh, my stomach hurts. I would say, my stomach hurts and I gotta go to the restroom and then run. That might be funny, or that might be like, I don't know, maybe a combo, an excuse and funny. I don't know. We can add more to it. So another example would be, no thanks, I'm already slow. I'm already low. That weed is going to make me so slow. I'm not even going to be able to go to practice today. I want to play basketball. So that's a combo. Excuse the reason, a fact that you want to go play basketball. I would say, nah, drinking makes me look like a fool, and I want to impress that girl over there. She's so cute. Maybe this is not sense of humor, but they can use their facial expressions. They can use their, their, body language to kind of like be funny. I would say, no, thanks. That weed makes me smell like a skunk, something like that. So the next one is, and again, remember, this ones are not going all in order, okay, family? So changing the subject, changing the subject is just another alternative here. It's, hopefully by you changing the subject, they might tag along with you and doing something else. So that's actually the intervention that you want, okay? So when you're practicing the skills with the students or the children, you want to kind of like says, let's practice changing the subject. So Tracy, you want to smoke some weed? Hopefully Tracy's going to say, no, let's go, for instance, let's go watch a movie, quickly, or they can says, hey, have you finished the project? Especially if this has something to do with school. Hey, what's going on over there? That would be another thing, might be something else going on over there, but at least they're looking over there. And that's the part, distraction, again, we can be creative and add more to the list. I have like 10 of them. Okay. So, but unfortunately we don't have too much time. So turn the table. That's another way, and here is basically saying, be upfront with them. You matter too, just as they do, who knows, they might stop bothering you. So that will be the awesome thing, the result to get. So let's say they're asking you to smoke some weed or ditch class or drink some alcohol or maybe do some air fresheners in the restroom, because that's very popular among middle school students. And so you could just be straight and says, Tracy, what is it with you? If I don't do drugs, what is that gonna do in our relationship? That would be more of a teenager, like if I don't do drugs, what's up with our friendship? So in a way you're thinking like, maybe hopefully they're thinking like, man, is our relationship based on smoking marijuana only? So hopefully it's more than that of the friendship. And then they can say, why would you want me to do that, Tracy? Like if Tracy was offering me drugs, that would be like, why are you asking me to do that? And this where they can use their facial expressions, and things like that. So, or just say, what is your problem? Straightforward, So the other one is give a reason, an excuse, or a fact. Here's a combo, okay, like the enchilada or the, with the rice and the beans. So they really have to practice this one because sometimes the assumption here is that everybody's smoking marijuana and you're the only one that is not. Okay, so we got to teach our children to learn the facts about drugs, not go watch a YouTube video, although there's a lot of great videos out there, but I think it's like sometimes they send mixed information. Okay, and what appears for someone to be drinking alcohol or smoking marijuana, what appears in some videos that they're having a good time, but they don't show the part that they actually ended up in the ER or they ended up, with the consequence that is a lifetime consequence. So here is, let's say, you know what? My mom just called me. Something is going on at the house. I gotta go. Boom. Do it quickly. Or it says, another one would be, no, I gotta go visit my grandma, you know, she's getting out of the hospital today and I have to go over there quickly. You know, you don't have to say why you're not want to smoke marijuana. Just basically you're saying family, you know, like if you don't go over there, you're gonna get in trouble, you know, so you gotta kind of like leave immediately, exit. The other one is unity in numbers. Here is basically, remember, positive peers is gonna help you to navigate these difficult situations. Why? Because the more numbers we have of those individuals, the more protected we feel. Okay, it's not that your children are depending on somebody else to, you know, to do the rebuttals or use the skills. But here is where we want to practice with them. Hey, bring Stacy, bring Johnny, bring Richard, you know, and so that you don't find yourself by yourself. You know, the more in numbers, the harder it is for that person to keep on pressuring you to smoke marijuana or go do some alcohol. So that's kind of like what you're going to be telling your students or your children, you know the difference. What is it going to look like? What does it sound like? Okay, so let's see. The other one is avoid the places. Let's keep it real. Believe it or not, our youth, our students, our participants, our clients, our children know when there's going to be alcohol or drugs in some parts. Okay, whether we want to accept it or not, I think sometimes we assume that there's all parties are being supervised, and part of actually active supervision is to find out ahead of time who's going to be there and ask those questions. And most likely the kids are going to say, no, mama, no drugs over there. Again, that will be your personal decision on letting your kid go to a party. But this is kind of like avoid the place. If you know there's going to be 5 individuals doing drugs and you're going to be the one that is thinking, I'm not going to say yes, the likelihood of you participating, or the likelihood of the child participating goes higher because there's more individuals partaking on that high risk behavior than that one person. So make sure that they're prepared. Okay, so now they have to make a decision. Do I go to the party or am I going to miss out? Or do I put myself in the situation that I might end up getting in a serious conflict with my family, you know, or a long-term consequence, right? So the other one is reject the behavior. And again, we're going to provide a list with all of this and additional examples. Reject the behavior is just basically tell them that you respect their decision, but you're not going to participate. And that you are actually, I don't want to smoke marijuana. I like you as a friend, but I don't want to smoke marijuana. I don't like marijuana, you know, very simple. You can practice with them that too. And again, you're just like you're telling your child when you find out, hopefully never you find out that they're participating in a high risk behavior. But let's say you do find out on something, they didn't do their homework and they told you yes, so that they can go play at the park. This is kind of like, you're not mad at them. You're mad that they didn't do the homework, you know? So basically identify what is it that they didn't do, the part that they didn't do. Okay. Hopefully I'm explaining this clearly, Tracy. And the last, well, not the last, but one of the other ones is ignore. As adults, I think we have these skills more in place, but as teenagers or children that are in middle school, ignoring doesn't come easy, especially when you have a bully or when they're being constantly harassed. But ignoring is like kind of like pretending you don't hear and just leave, exit, basically remove yourself from it. Okay. Hopefully they get the picture that you're not responding to them, because remember, it takes 2 and to be able to have back and forth communication. If one person is not responding, then just remove yourself. But I know that the person doesn't have to stand there and take it all in either. So you remind the youth to recognize that too. They don't have to stand there and like you have to take everything the other person is saying. No, the longer the person stays there, the likelihood they're going to participate. Okay, so have That's the other one that actually is walk away. Walk away. It sounds, this is the other one that people make it sound like it's so easy, but remember, for adolescents, their brain hasn't fully developed, and their main things is that they want to be part of their group. They want to be accepted, and they will compromise their safety and their health too, or else AADAP will be out of business. Unfortunately, I mean, I wish we weren't providing the services, but the thing is that there's a lot of peer pressure, and our kids are falling right into peer pressure. Confide is one of the last ones that I'm going to talk about. Again, there's so many of them, and this is a way of actually trusting someone. And I hope that you will be the person that they can trust to, as an educator, as a counselor, as a member in the community, as a parent. We're hoping that they're going to come to you. And the one way that they can come to you is by you establishing a rapport where they feel safe, where they're not going to be judged by you, that you're not going to roll your eyes or yell or something like that, because remember, we're modeling that it's okay to come. And even if they didn't, let's say they fell short, that it's okay. We're going to talk about it. Let's look for some alternatives. What else can we do? How can we help you? So we want to be that support system for them. And the more support they have, the more equipped they are when they're finding themselves in those situations that are very hard to say no. Okay, so I know parents, this is not the only list, remember that, okay? But we want to make sure that as parents, as educators, we want to role play with our students. We want to make sure that we are teaching them, that we're actually encouraging them to use this refusal skills so that it becomes something natural. Okay, so I know there was something else, Tracy, that you were going to make a comment on.
Yeah, so it's just to go back to the refusal skills just for a minute. So it's really important for us as parents and educators to have these conversations regularly. We're not going to sit down with them and go through all of the refusal skills all in one sitting, and they're going to be like, whoa. It's just like natural conversations throughout their days. So it's to get them familiar and get them comfortable with speaking up for themselves, right?
Absolutely, yes. It's natural. But remember, the more actually, that's something that I skipped my mind, something that we want to actually encourage a cousin to come and practice, someone else their age, so that they feel comfortable too. And because remember, they're looking at somebody else close in age, their peers, because then they look at parents like, you just don't want me to have fun, mom. So yes, the more someone else in the family, the neighbor, anybody else that they feel safe, practicing the skills.
Right. I'm looking at the time already. It's already 4:45. So I want to go ahead and open this up to see if anyone from our audience has any questions about refusal skills or how to engage the youth that we're working with or the youth that we have in our families. So if you feel comfortable and you have a question, you can go ahead and open up the unmute yourself so that you can ask a question. If you don't feel comfortable, you can type it in the chat box. Anything right now, we'll give you a minute or so. See if any questions come through.
I'm looking at the chat too, there's.
There is, let me see. I think there is a question. So how can a parent even begin the conversation with a child? How do they start?
Well, I mean, it's never going to be like the perfect timing, right? Or the perfect words or anything like that. But I think it's like if you were to, let's say, driving in the car, you're picking them up from school, and sometimes sometimes we ask the wrong question. How was your day? Fine. And that's it. So remember, keep in mind that what I said earlier, asking them the right questions. What was something interesting today that you did, Johnny, at school? And then if you ask, did you meet anyone new? No. No. So we got to kind of like, that's why we got to kind of like prepare ourselves so that the questions that we're asking can solicit additional conversation. It keeps it going. It keeps them going.
Mhm.
So I know that the topic of drugs is not always easy, but I think as a parent, let's be mindful of how much information you're going to provide to your kid too. Like, let's say if you know that the school is actually, there's plenty of students that are reporting that they're using marijuana, and this is the assumption my kid will never do it. Once they're exposed, to somebody else doing it, that's already can influence. Because again, it's like we want to make sure that we're asking Johnny, like, let's say my son is Johnny, and I'm going to say, hey, Johnny, like, hey, what's some of the trends that are happening at your school? And then that's how you start engaging. You start finding out like how much information am I going to share with my son about marijuana, or my daughter about marijuana. And no scaring tactics, not overdoing the information like scientifics and this and that. If they say, Mom, marijuana is it doesn't hurt anyone. Remember, it's about your child, not about you. So let's educate your child. Let's make sure that we're listening, being attentive. We can agree to disagree, but then if you fall short and if you feel like you didn't, because a lot of parents is like, I don't know what to do. Well, you can always call us too. We will be more than happier than provide them with information to go over the information that is actually to their age appropriate.
That's great. I think, I think the bottom line is what I'm hearing is to be real with your kid, let them know that you're there for them, to really support them if they have questions. And there was a question in the chat was asking about, what if my children are really quiet and they're shy and they don't open up? How do I get them to open up?
Well, definitely respect that they're shy, remember encouragement, acknowledgement works, because it's identifying that you're noticing these things. Pressuring someone into talking about something that they don't want to talk to you about, it's okay. Again, we want to explore also, like, it's not necessarily as a parent that you're looking at yourself, oh, something is wrong with me because my kids don't come to me and talk to me. No, that's not what I'm saying. It's basically kids, they go through development stages. And again, not everything is a stage, if they're quiet, that might be where maybe they don't want to disappoint by the questions that they're going to ask, because then the assumption is like, why are they asking me all these questions? Especially when it comes to sex or drugs, parents immediately, they're doing sex, they're participating.
Right.
And it's, again, they can pick up on your on the way that you're responding, and it's okay to say, you know what, I don't know that answer too, especially if they get into talking. But shy is, it's something that they're choosing to be. Okay.
Mhm.
So we got to respect that, but also you can do activities where actually with questions, flashcards with the question or put them in a bowl and they pick one and they can just talk about random stuff, not necessarily about themselves. And that's kind of like start building on having different types of conversations. That would be like a little, maybe activity.
Yeah, I could see that working in like around the dinner table, and then they get a chance to pull a question to ask their parent and put the parent on the spot. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of intriguing. We do have Gracie with her hand up. Gracie, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Hi, yes. My question is right now with the pandemic. I know that, it's this transition, it was a little hard, especially for our youth. So how can we get our youth to talk to us right now? I know there's so much going on. but how can we start that conversation? Hey, like, how do you feel now that you're back? Or how do we initiate that conversation with our youth?
That's great. You're actually practicing with us, so in a way, I know that sometimes we feel, and thank you for asking that. I think it's like we think that what we're doing is not enough, but I think it's like just acknowledging them. I think feeling safe. What would help you to feel safe to have a conversation? I think checking in about feelings, it's one of the greatest start, and not necessarily just as how do you feel? Fine. I think are you an educator, or do you have a group that you conduct, or as a parent?
No, I'm actually, well, I have nieces and nephews that are around their teens. So they're early teens and late teens. So, but I'm also a prevention outreach worker. So
Perfect.
I do a little bit of everything. But right now I see it mostly with my nieces and nephews, and I'm the only one that has an education. So I'm like their advocate, so I'm like their biggest help right now. So, I'm trying my best to give that support for them, and be there for them, because right now it's really challenging, and they're on their own. Like none of the
Perfect.
family background are educated. So that's the reason why I asked that question.
So you mentioned the word support. I think it's like basically keeping it real. I'm here to support you. I know sometimes it's not easy to talk about our feelings. Sometimes it's difficult to kind of like touch on some topics. So in a way, you're letting them know, acknowledging that, it is hard. You're not necessarily giving them the feeling to feel. And this is like, yeah, you can use yourself too. So it's like, sometimes I feel, like I'm not doing enough, with this whole pandemic, everything changed, and I feel like, it changed us in a way. What do you guys think about, and you can actually use yourself as an example as to how is it that you're feeling because remember, your feelings are valid. It's what you do with the feelings that makes us different. So in a way, it's like sharing how is it that you're feeling as they're going back to school, and you tell them straight out, I'm here to support you. If you need any help, you can come to me and talk to me. Leave the door open. Also with the children that are quiet, the teenagers, let them know that you're there whenever they're ready to talk to you. Nothing works forcing someone to talk. Okay. So that's something that I would not practice. Forcing someone, like keep on asking and asking them and ask, that's not going to work out.
Yeah, they'll come around in time. So with that, I think we're going to end the question and answer. I mean, we can keep going on for another 30 minutes or so, but I think we need to give people some time. Let's go ahead and share our resources. Madi, if you can share your resources, and then I'll share mine.
So I'm actually a case manager too at youth and family programs, and we offer different services for to help the families in our community. Okay, our services are for free. Prevention services is something that we can actually help our parents or our educators on, navigating those difficult conversations. We can actually educate our children about I think prevention services when he is ages, I'm sorry, the age right there is incorrect. It's from 10 to 17 and a half. And there's 10 different topics of drugs, their harmful effects. And again, this is not to encourage someone to use drugs. It's basically so that they can make an informed decision if they ever get a peer pressure into doing something like a drug. And this is not counseling. And I'm also can actually do presentations at schools or in the community, bringing forth awareness about drugs. And then we also have the early intervention, which is the next slide. So early intervention services, this ones are free too. This is actually for youth that are ages from 10 to 17 and a half. They can actually, this is where I meet with them individually or family or in a group setting. And this is for individuals that are experimenting or have used once or a few times only. And I would actually also offer case management in case if they need more intensive services. I will connect them to the right services. And again, this is for free. The best way to get linked to any of the services, they just can call me. You know, there's my email, my phone number. They can call the office, and I'll be more than happy then to connect them or provide the services. You know, again, all they right here is early intervention services is basically all I need to know is like, where do they reside? Because they have to live within the second district, supervisional district, and low income families, so that they can receive the services.
Thank you, Marty. In my haste, I forgot that we have 2 more poll questions.
Oh.
So let's bring those up, and then we'll do the additional resources that we have. So Tiffany, if you could go ahead and showcase the poll questions.
Yes. Poll questions. This one here is, how familiar are you with refusal skills? Unfamiliar, somewhat familiar, familiar, or very familiar, after a fruitful conversation with Mari and Tracy.
Sorry, Miss Tracy, but I can't manage to fill out the poll. I don't know why.
Whoops. Oh, pardon me.
Uh,
All right, how about this one? How about this?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
We'll give you a
I
few
can-
minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So that should be quick. I'm going to share the results. Mari, may you read the results? It should come up on your
Okay,
end.
so how familiar are you with the refusal skills? It says 10% somewhat familiar, 50% is familiar, very familiar is 40%.
Great.
All right, and for the following poll questions, as a result of this workshop, I will, and this is a multiple choice, share what I learned with others, practice refusal skills with my youth or youth I work with, and or engage in a conversation with my child on the importance of practicing refusal skills.
Time sure does go fast with an engaging conversation like this.
All right, I'll end the poll now. All right, and here are the results. Mari, may you share?
Of course, it says, as a result of this workshop, I will share what I learned with others, 73%, practice refusal skills with my youth or youth I work with, 27%, engage in a conversation with my child on the importance of, 55%.
Great. Wonderful. I hope that you learned a lot today in this fruitful conversation with Mari. And with that, we're going to show the last slide, which is resources that community prevention can provide as well. Again, I'm a community organizer in Gardena. My contact information is at the top. We have a Facebook page, Gardena GAADAP. We also have organizers in the city of Inglewood, Carson, Richard, Tiffany is in El Segundo, Jessica is another organizer in Gardena. We also have Kara Almeida and Jeannie Shimatsu as part of our team. And then also you can find us on Facebook underneath the little Facebook emblem, the Asian American Drug Abuse Program, Carson CSAP, Carson Shaw Club, Inglewood Prevention, and also on Instagram, AADAP Inc., Carson Shaw, Be an Advocate, and yuka.inglewood. So hopefully you can start following us and see what we're up to. And hopefully you can come again for another Hot Topic Tuesday. Next week's Hot Topic is going to be a little bit different, just FYI. We have your contact information. It's going to be social media based because next week is Overdose Awareness Day on the 31st. And we are going to showcase a video. It's not going to be a live presentation, but we are going to send out a link for a video to watch of another unit within AADAP that's going to be doing a presentation on their experience with actually having to be out in the field and having to administer naloxone to an individual. They're going to be talking about that and the importance of bringing awareness to overdose awareness, to overdose, the issues of overdose and the rise in fentanyl and all that. So look forward for that. And then the following week, we will have a live presentation on Recovery Month with another AADAP guest from Youth and Family Program. We'll be sharing a recovery story of her own. So look forward to that. We have your contact information. We will make sure that you get the information. And I hope that you guys all have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us for this Hot Topic Tuesday. Take
Thank you,
care.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gracie.